Yes, I just got out of the Fantastic Four movie, and I think it is pretty close to perfect. We finally got a good Fantastic Four movie. No, a great Fantastic Four movie. And I think it's perfect because of how they portrayed the characters, the world, and just the story that drives you forward as you're watching this movie. Now, I'm going to get into spoilers a little bit later, but let me tell you the stuff that you really want to know about. Is there a mid-credit scene? Yes, it is great. You absolutely need to stay for it. Is there an end credit scene like after all the credits are rolled? Yes. Just don't stay for that. Just watch it on Twitter or whoever leaks it first. If if you don't want to stay through all the credits, it's totally not worth it. It's just sort of a joke or whatever. Yeah, as you can tell though, I really like this flick. I actually recorded something in my car, and I'm like, no, I want to do this in front of the camera and talk to people and tell them what I thought. And I think it's great. Let's go through all the characters, and then we'll get into some story spoilers a little bit later on. One thing with the Superman review, which I thought was okay, not great. I didn't really go into spoilers, and I thought I would change that up this time. So let's talk about Reed Richards. I pulled up some random images. I can't play the trailers because those always get me copyright strikes. So I brought up random images that I could find. Reed Richards, really well portrayed by Pedro Pascal. He kind of acts as this know-it-all brain, but he's not throwing it in your face. He's still human. He jokes with, Ben Grimm, the Thing, and he jokes with, his brother-in-law and his wife, and he really brings a lot of humanity to the character. Most of the time, he is basically trying to solve this problem, which I'll allude to a little bit more later. So he's doing a lot of these crazy math equations. I don't know what he's doing here, and drawing all these diagrams and showing you all just how smart he is and what he's able to do. And everybody talks about how smart he is. And that's not really the focus of the film, but it's very clear he is the smartest person on planet Earth. They have all this technology to work with to solve this problem, and he just kind of gets stuck. Really well done by Pedro Pascal, in my opinion. I thought he did a phenomenal job as that particular character, and we'll come back to that in just a second, because at the end of the day, this isn't really about any one character. It's about how they all work together. Johnny Storm, he's usually portrayed as like the cocky, handsome guy, and he manages to do that in this film without being super annoying. He just does a really good job of striking that balance between being sort of the cocky playboy type character without going too deep into a lot of the tropes that a character like that lands in. And I think they struck a really good balance. In terms of the Fantastic Four, though, honestly, everybody's talking about it already. The Thing really steals the show. The actor who plays the Thing, I don't know actor names off the top of my head, but this is just superb. They finally did a thing right. Like, they don't have to do like the gravelly voice. I know he's a big old rock, but really he's just a big old softy at heart, and they really do a good job of portraying him that way. He is, the uncle in the comics. He is the friend that everybody can talk to. He is just kind of the loner of the family, and you can really identify with him as a character. And man, the way that he is acted is just superbly well done, and I really just look forward to seeing more with him as he interacts with all the different family members. And I really enjoyed his role in the flick. And then there's, Sue Storm. She plays a very important role in this film. Uh, she is sort of the glue that binds together the whole narrative, and we're going to be getting to that in just a second. I just want to talk about my take on each of the characters, and she does a really good job as Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman. She uses her powers. She doesn't really flaunt her powers too much, but she is clearly very talented and intelligent, and she's really good with people. She really knows how to talk to people, and she really knows how to sell them on her vision of what is the right thing to do. And I really think that she presents herself really well in the film and managed to strike that balance. Now, let's talk about the Silver Surfer. A lot of critique and debate about, the Silver Surfer CGI and how well it's looking. This is an image probably not from when the movie came out. She looks phenomenal in the film. Not only does she look phenomenal, but in addition to that, here's what I put in my notes. She has just this killer intro. This movie is not about over the top action. It's about the story that is being told. And man, they just really nail this idea of a family trying to stop something way bigger than them that they just don't have a chance at stopping, right? And they really, really nail that. And when the Silver Surfer, who is the harbinger of Galactus, basically, Galactus comes along and he just eats your planet. You're all dead. Everybody's dead. So the Fantastic Four is like, oh God, how do we stop this? And her intro, it's really somber. It's in this sort of Jetsons futuristic world. And she just comes in, she delivers the message, and it just really, really works so well. It is really, really good. And you know who else works so well? This is the best picture I could find of him. Galactus. Galactus doesn't show up and start breaking buildings or anything like that. No, he just sort of sits there and has a conversation with the Fantastic Four, and it is ominous. It is terrifying. It is perfect. The way that Galactus and all of these characters end up intermingling together really, really works well, because it's about a family trying to work together to solve problems, and it's about a flawed character in the Silver Surfer who has to deliver this message that she really doesn't want to deliver. And it's Galactus, who Galactus is just him. Like, he has to eat planets. He doesn't really get a choice. So he's just moving forward with that momentum. Now, before we get into super spoilers, I'm just going to give you a heads up right now. We're going to go into super spoilers. So now I'm going to talk about it. If you're still on the video, it's on you at this point. So here we go. Here's what the movie is actually about. The movie is actually about the fact that Susan Storm is pregnant, and they had been trying for years, and all of a sudden she gets pregnant out of the blue, and she is pregnant with Franklin. Franklin in the comics is the most powerful character in the Marvel Comics universe. I believe in the comics, I just read about him really quick because I don't know a ton about the Fantastic Four. He apparently has the ability to just make pocket dimensions just for fun. He can basically do anything. So he is tremendously powerful. And Galactus basically says, I'm here to destroy Earth. You know, his harbinger comes. So the Fantastic Four go try and meet Galactus in space. And man, the space stuff is so freaking cool. It's just like a visual treat when they actually go into outer space to confront Galactus, and you know, they're sort of having some challenges there, and then they actually go meet him. The scene is terrifying. Here's what I put. His whole presence is just so good. There's not like fisticuffs. They're not fighting each other. This is clearly a thing you can't punch. It's just the dialogue delivered. It's with such a confidence that it works so tremendously well for this story. So they actually go up there. They meet Galactus. No one, like, they can't really fight any of these characters. So they just talk to them. They actually try and talk to them. And they go talk to Galactus. And Galactus says, okay, the child, he's this all-powerful being. He can break me of my curse of eating these planets. Galactus doesn't want to eat planets. He just has to survive. So he says, your child can take my curse from me, and I don't have to do this anymore. So I will spare Earth if you give me the child. And of course, they're like, no, get the fuck out of here. Like, we're not going to give you the kid. So then there's this big escape sequence that is absolutely gorgeous. It's like, go see it in IMAX. Like, if you have the choice or the option to, I want to go back and see it again in IMAX, because some of the scenes are so dang pretty. And while they're trying to escape Galactus and, you know, keep their child, Galactus like scans Sue at one point, and she just goes into labor like instantaneously. Now, I don't know if Galactus made that happen because it's like he changes his eyes or something like that on this like action figure thing. So he looks like this sometimes, but sometimes he makes his eyes go like just normal purple eyes, but like this crazy purple hue. And then, you know, Sue Storm ends up going into labor at that point. So they're trying to get the heck out of there, and they're in the ship. Johnny Storm is in the back. He's trying to shoot laser beams at Silver Surfer, who's chasing after them. Ben Grimm is on the sticks. He's trying to drive with Herbie, the little robot. Mr. Fantastic is working with his wife to, help her have a baby because she's in labor. And he's also trying to direct everybody. So everybody has a task. Everybody is doing something in this sequence. And the sequence is so, so pretty. They get back in the shuttle that allows them to go basically into intergalactic space, and then they're like, okay, we need to lose Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer can just like morph through matter and has these insane abilities that obviously make it a very powerful foe. So the sequence is so good. I'll just tell you about this, and then we'll talk a little bit about the final sequence and some of the plot points. But that all happens. They get close to this black hole, and the Silver Surfer ends up getting sort of sucked into the black hole right before she almost grabs the baby, like uses her matter abilities to just take the baby right out of Sue Storm, and gets sucked into the black hole. And Reed Richards makes a comment like, oh, that'll keep them busy for about a month. So they go back to Earth, and they're like, okay, shit. Well, yeah, we didn't stop Galactus. We're back here on Earth. And they have to tell the people of Earth, yeah, we failed. So they've been like heroes to everybody on Earth for basically their whole existence. And we get a very brief backstory. The backstory of the Fantastic Four is very brief. They went to space, they got superpowers. Okay. I mean, like that's what you need to know. So they didn't go into that too much. They sort of mention it during a montage, but they come back and they're heralded as these heroes. They're like, oh, you stopped Galactus. Tell us about how you did it. They're like, oh yeah, we didn't. So it's the people of Earth are like, oh no, what did we do? They start freaking out. They're rioting. And then the Fantastic Four just tells them, yeah, Galactus said if we give them our kid, then, Earth will be spared. And they're like, well, give them the kid, because they're terrified. They're just people. They want their family to be safe. And it's like, what's the price of one child for, the rest of all humanity? Eventually there's a conversation with the people of Earth, and they're just like, yeah, okay, I guess it makes sense. I guess we all don't like Galactus. He's bad. So Earth bands together. They're trying to do this plan where they're going to teleport Earth away from where Galactus can get them. And it all works. It all works. I watched the one review I did watch for recording this was Moist Criticals. And he pointed out that there are two plot points that could have been stronger. The relationship between Johnny Storm and the Silver Surfer. I think he's kind of right on that one. And also the final fight with Galactus. So long story short, Johnny Storm actually pursues the Silver Surfer when she initially joins Earth. She says something to him in her native language. He records it, and then he's able to decipher like these discs that they have been recording from outer space from all these planets that were dying, and decipher like all of this language. There's a scene where he just plays that back to her. She goes crazy, and she's like, oh my God, you're right. I'm killing all these planets. I'm bad, because she took on the role of Silver Surfer so that she could spare her planet and save her daughter. It's indicated in the trailer. So two reasons that I wish that worked a little bit better. Obviously, she's been doing this for a long time, so she knows that there's a connection established between her and Johnny Storm, but it's not fleshed out enough. I would have loved to see more Silver Surfer Johnny, like even just like a scene or two to establish a tighter bond, where the scene where he plays back all of the thank you messages from her planet, and then all of the we're all dying messages from all the other planets that she died. It like just sends her off into space. And it just felt like it was a little too easy, right? Like obviously they've been building towards this. So that was one problem with the film. I actually like that it's not all about fighting. It's about family. The whole film is about them working together as a family. They have dinner on Sundays. They work together to get the groceries. They're always sort of hanging out. They're having a good time. They're having jokes with each other. And that's really at the heart of the film the whole time. And it really, really works. That's what they're about, right? And then when Sue gets pregnant, it's all about protecting this baby. The retro look really, really works well in their favor. I thought that was great. And just through and through, I'm just going to bring up one other thing here really quick. It just works. And there's a saying that they have at the end of the film. It's, if you look at my characters, you will find me. No matter what kind of character you create or assume, a little of yourself must remain there. Jack Kirby. And he lived from 8/28/1917 to 2/6/1994. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, I believe, were the co-creators of the Fantastic Four. Uh, and I'm just so happy that this movie exists. They really nailed it. Sorry, I forgot about Galactus. It's a really powerful set of words from him at the end of the film. The final Galactus fight, basically, they try and trick him and his presence on Earth. Like, he's this larger than life thing. He like stops. He like picks up this big chunk of ground and smells the trees and everything at one point, just to remember what it's like to be a normal human and not this larger than life being that he's become from devouring the worlds. And then he goes to get the baby. Then he's like, oh, clever ants. And then because they swap out the baby to a different location, and then he goes and gets the baby anyway. And then he's going to go, I don't know where he's going with them. He's like walking away with the baby. And then Sue pushes him back towards the teleporter, and the whole rest of the team is just wiped out. Like, Reed Richards gets all stretched out. The Thing gets his butt kicked. Johnny Storm is kind of like on his last leg. And then Sue Storm is just kind of pushing him towards this portal. And she pushes him until basically she dies. So she falls down. She's like totally spent. And then Johnny Storm flames on. He flies at Galactus and he's like, tell Franklin I love him or something like that. And then he flies at Galactus and he's going to push Galactus into the portal, which is still open and has like 5 seconds left or whatever before it closes. And then the Silver Surfer comes along, knocks him out of the way, and she's the one that pushes him through the portal. It closes. They save the day. That last boss fight, I feel like it could have been better. I feel like there could have been a little bit more back and forth. Obviously, Galactus is this huge, very powerful being, and he just swats them away like they're nothing. But there's a few sequences where like Reed Richards opens the vents on his back, which is where he like eats his food, I guess. And it's magma when it comes out, and that kind of messes him up a little bit. And there's a few, they throw like a truck at him and then light him on fire, and Galactus just doesn't even care because he's like so powerful. So I felt like that could have been a little stronger, just because Sue could have, maybe gotten a little bit of help from the Fantastic Four. This is why I don't watch reviews, because Charlie brought that up in the end of his review, and he's right. That would have been a little bit cooler. So I think the movie, for a Fantastic Four movie, is about as perfect as it can be. Sue Storm almost dies. Franklin shows his abilities, brings her back to life, and then we jump forward 4 years later, and we actually get to see Susan Storm and her son spending some time together during the mid-credits scene. And we do get a sneak peek in that mid-credits scene of Doctor Doom hanging out with the kid. So very interesting things happening. It does say that they'll return in Avengers Doomsday, and man, I really liked it. I think this isn't going to be for everybody. Like, if you need Deadpool Wolverine level of action, or you like the action in Superman, you're not going to get a ton of that in this film. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's a lot of like space exploration, and they're working together to solve very complex problems of space travel and trying to save planet Earth, or just acting as a diplomat and trying to address to the people of Earth, hey, like, here's why we shouldn't just give up this baby. It's because we're all really one big family. And I don't know, she sells it better than I would. That's her job as an actress, right? And the whole film works. It's very much a Fantastic Four film for Fantastic Four fans. They go into a lot of the deep cuts for fans. Like, they show off the guy from the original cover, the murky man. And I thought, even I recognized that. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But yeah, big takeaway on this one, man, I think the film is great. I really, really liked it. The CGI turned out so freaking good. There were moments, a lot of people are talking like, oh, I sat up out of my seat for this middle part in the movie. Yeah, it's the gorgeous space sequence, the sequences with Galactus. It is so cool. I might have to go see it again in IMAX if I get the chance. That's how freaking cool it is. It's really, really good. Anyway, I liked it. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Turn on my content goes live. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to the members, Chris Reddy, Filaroni, Spingater, and Aries EMS. The Fantastic Four movie is really good. If you want to see my similar video that I did on Superman, it's a lot shorter. It's right over here, and you can check that out. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.